What's up, YouTube? This is Bystander X79. Alright, guys, the bandless content on my channel is going to keep rolling. Today's video is going to be a wish list type video. These are particular cards that are going to be cards I feel that should be moved on the list, but probably won't be touched. If you're looking for my actual prediction video, that's coming out Friday, so be on the lookout for that. And guys, this is a wish list video, so don't get too upset over what I'm going to be showing you guys and talking about during this video. Again, this is a wish list, and most of these cards probably won't be moving anyway. So, without further ado, we're jumping right into the discussion, and the first card I feel that should be receiving the ban hammer is Hackle for Bex. To be honest, this card has been a problematic card since its release. Too many tuner monsters have been lost to the ban list because of this card's existence. Banning this card could allow TCG Konami to shrink the actual ban list on our side of the game by removing some of those tuners off. The tuners that generate tokens probably won't come off because link summoning is a thing. The other reason why I feel that this card should actually be touched is because it's not actually being utilized for what it's supposed to be supporting. This card was designed to support the synchro summon mechanic, and yet all players are using it for is link climbing right now. And to me, it just doesn't seem right. So a ban would definitely be good, but if TCG Konami wants to fix the card, in my opinion, it'll be more of a temporary ban. They would actually have the card reprinted in the upcoming Maximum Gold set, and they would have a errata attached to it. The errata would basically read, the tuner monster special summoned by this card's effect can only be utilized in the summon of a synchro monster. And just by forcing the players to actually utilize that monster, the tuner monster it summons, for synchro summons, it actually more or less directly supports synchro decks, and we don't have to worry about the link climbing anymore. I feel that's a great direction that TCG Konami could actually take the cards to actually fix them. A temp ban, reprint them in the reprint sets later in the year, and boom, everything is fine. Now moving forward, the next card I feel that should be hit, but probably won't be, is going to be Red Eyes Fusion. The reason why it won't be hit is basically because TCG Konami has not basically squeezed enough money out of the Groon and Anaconda. Neither of those cards have gotten reprinted, and I have a gut feeling they're going to be in the next Maximum Gold set. So if TCG Konami does decide to move against the Dragoon package, Red Eyes Fusion will be the card that they target. Primary reason because this card fusion summons with materials from your deck. Unlike other cards like Polymerization, Super Polymerization, or even Magical Ice Fusion, which require the monsters to either be hand, field, or graveyard to actually summon. And that actually requires a lot more effort to actually get cards into particular positions, and it takes away from the actual combo that most decks are using. Because if you look at Dryden, they're just using it as a default negate if their opponent interferes with their combo more than enough. And to be very honest, it is a smart hit. Now, going on to the ban is going to be Shadal Sism. This is a card that I strongly think that should be banned. Primary reason is because it's the reason why Windeck became so oppressive, because being able to banish cards out Great Fuse during your opponent's turn is a lot easier to do and set up than actually getting cards into your hand to fusion summon from your hand during your opponent's turn. That being said, there are a few reasons why this card won't be touched. The first and foremost will probably be the Mega Team reprint. I wouldn't be shocked if Konami upped this rarity to Secret Rare. The second reason is basically because the deck that runs it right now, the Shadal Invoke Domatica deck, it's not really doing anything in the meta. So I don't see a way to justify a hit if the deck is not actually being in with the top decks. And the same thing can be applied to the first card on my limit list, and that's Magical Meltdown. I think pretty much everybody here would love to see Magical Meltdown go down to 1. It just does it just helps get the invoked engine going too fast. So you have to rely on opening your Alistair a little bit more. And I think it's a little bit fair. And also cutting this card down to one also reins in the protection effect, so you can actually interact with your opponent's board when they are fusion summoning. Moving on with my limits, I'm actually fixing a mistake TCG Konami made on the last list. And that's actually, I'm putting Soul Eating Overraptor to 1, and I'm actually releasing Miscellaneous Saurus to 3. Overraptor is just too good of a starter card. Being a Stratos or even Armageddon Knight style card, allowing you to set up your plays too easily, and then you can actually target a level 4 little monster on the field, destroy it. Typically, you could be going after your baby dinosaurs and being able to get more cards onto the field via its effect plus the baby's effect that you just destroyed. It's just too good of a starter card, and it needs to be put to 1. Miscellaneous Saurus, as you can see over in OG, it's not a problem. And why? Because they read the card. And they actually figured out how to play around it instead of sitting back and whining like babies like most other players here in the TCG did. Alright? The reason why it's not a problem in OCG, because look at this. It's only active during the main phase. You can only activate during the main phase, and it's only activating during that main phase. Which means if you change the phase to battle phase, you can still do other things. You can still special summon monsters with card effects. You can still activate other card effects and interact with your opponent's board. The primary reason why you could do that in battle phase is because unless a card effect specifically states a phase it has to be activated in, you can use it during any phase of your turn. I don't understand why the OCG can understand this, but the players in the TCG can't. Overraptor 1, Miscellaneous Saurus to 3, and that's a pretty good solid swap in my opinion, and a good fix for the ban list. Now moving on to the next card that should be limited, it's going to be Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. I just feel that a lot of the weaker Pendulum decks actually need this card available. Keeping it at 1 is not going to really do much. And it's going to basically stop Konami producing these spell card effects with this monster effect. I mean, if you actually look at some of these newer cards with these spell cards that have effects that are similar to Electromite's effects, to be very honest, it takes away spots in the main deck that you could be utilizing for other cards that can actually help you get the deck going. And not only that, a lot of players prefer monster effects over spell effects because the monster effect is just a little bit easier to deal with. And not only that, but since I also banned Hacker Feedbacks, I would actually and banned and fixed Hacker Feedbacks, mind you. I think it would be safer to actually have Electromite back in the game because listen, the way Hacker Feedbacks is right now, I mean, you could actually just go Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, get a Pendulum Tuner into the graveyard, bring it back into your hand, get it onto the field, go into Hacker Feedbacks, bring out another tuner monster, go into Anaconda, and then basically bring out Dragoon. I mean, seriously, who would want to see a Pendulum Magician deck actually go through that series of play? I mean, raise your hand if you want to see that. Yeah, I didn't think so. So that's the primary reason why Hacker Feedbacks needs to be fixed, and Heavy Metal Foes Electromite really should come off the list. Next card, we're going into the semi-limits, and I want Sky Striker Mega Modules Multi-Roll back at 2. It's 2 in the OCG, and the reason why I want it back at 2 is basically I want the deck to be less reliant, on cards like Desires, and more reliant on their archetype support. I mean, even with one Engage, the deck is still very powerful, and it kind of leads into the reason why it won't come down the list is basically because the deck is still doing pretty well on the tournament scene. It is getting into top cuts, and it does have some pretty good representation. That's the primary reason why I don't think this card will be moved off the list. I know it's sad, but hey, if it does happen, Yay, we got the grind game back. Now we're going to move into the cards I'm actually bringing off the list. Now we already saw Miscellaneousaurus coming off, but I'm also bringing off a trap card. And the trap card I'm bringing off is actually Skill Drain. Skill Drain is a blanket effect negation for monsters that are on the field and just the field. It doesn't touch monster effects in the graveyard or banish zone because that's what Soul Drain does. It doesn't touch monster effects in that activate in the hand because that's what Mind Drain does. And to be honest, both Soul Drain and Mind Drain are actually at 3 here in the TCG, so why can't this card be at 3? I mean, if you think about it, it doesn't stop your opponent from summoning monsters. It doesn't stop your opponent from attacking with monsters. It doesn't stop your opponent from activating spells or trap, which can actually deal with this. So, exactly why is this card still at 1? Oh, that's right. It's a floodgate. Players don't like playing. Combo players don't like seeing floodgates, and they can't because of the low IQ. They can't figure out ways around it. That's the reason. Next card that I'm bringing off the list. Shouldn't be a surprise, but yeah, I'm bringing off Maxi. It's at 3 in the OCG. And to be very honest, I feel that combo decks need a hard counter against them. Nibiru isn't the hard counter that we thought it would be. Most top meta decks, combo decks right now, are dropping a negate before their 5th summon, which will basically neutralize the threat of Nibiru. All Nibiru is doing is punishing the weaker combo decks that can't drop that negate before their 5th summon. With Maxi in the game, yes, it does affect how combo players play the game. They're either going to have to play short to prevent your opponent from getting too many resources, or they're going to have to roll the dice and either go full ham combo and give their opponent the resources and pray that they don't draw into anything that can damage their field, or at least they're going to try to put up a field that they can't, it won't be that easy to break down. And to be very honest, this card back in the game, not that bad, especially if we start taking a look at how it could help lower tier decks really compete with the upper tier decks. To be very honest, in the OCG, they do have Call by the Graveyard 2 and 3 copies of Cross-Out Designator. And the only way I could actually see this card coming off the list is if we actually have that ratio here in the TCG. That's just to be fair, because if you are running the 5 cards that can out Maxi, you're more likely to draw into the outs than you are actually likely to draw into your Maxi, which is very interesting in my opinion. But yeah, I think it would be safe to bring off the list with those cards in the game. Unfortunately, with the way players see Call by the Grave as too good of a card, where it could actually help support the whole unbreakable board thing, that line of thinking is also preventing us in the TCG from actually getting Cross-Out Designator, because the card can actually do the same thing. And to be very honest, if we're preventing to get the out cards that aren't really a problem, there really is an issue more with the player base rather than the actual cards at this point. And I think TCG Konami should take a step back and actually analyze that. And maybe actually start looking at the cards a little bit more objectively and how they can actually balance out the game a little bit better here in the TCG, so it's a little bit more fair and more well-rounded. Alright, that's just my thoughts and my wish list for the upcoming ban list. Again, like I said, these cards probably will not move at all. But it's fun to talk about some of these cards anyway, just because it's a good talking point and a good starting point as well. Like I said before when I started the video, my prediction video is coming out this Friday. Be on the lookout for that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord server. Join the conversation. We'll love to have you. Check out my affiliates, tcgbanlist.com, as well as sidedeckversus.com, whether you wanted to help support the channel or just be able to get what you need to be ready for your next tournament. It's all good. Follow me on social media. And guys, until next time, peace.